Okay, looks like it's 5:01. Today is the Tuesday, 28th of January, 2020. This is LDR 300 Zoom session. I'm Russ Jamison, your adjunct faculty, and we're going to go over a few things and then see if anybody wants to dial in. Okay, so 2 weeks behind us. We're starting to shake out, and everybody gets a sense of what I'm looking for, and I'm getting a good feel for what y'all can do. Oh, no! Excuse me. Pardon me for that. So, a couple things that I want to just go ahead and cover off the bat, admin-wise. Still have a number of you that aren't turning your work in on time. There are things that happen. I get that. Those are called exigencies, things that are beyond your control. And if that's the case, certainly let me know. Don't make us try to guess. Because if we can help, we can help. All right. Again, my job is to get you through this. You'll do the work, but I'm here to get you through it. And so I'm here to help, I guess is what I'm getting at. That said, don't take advantage of it. If you can get the work in, get the work in. If it's I know it's tough. It's not easy. You work full time. You're raising family. You're got all sorts of demands on you, and now you're taking coursework. It's difficult, and I assure you, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Okay, so up front, just understand that you've embarked on a very demanding aspect of your life that will pay immense dividends down the road. Try to do through the best. Try to work through it the best that you can. Okay. If you need some help on that, let me know, and I'll give you some ideas. I'll give you some things that work for me. I worked full time when I went through my undergraduate program. I was full-time Marine, and young enlisted Marine in those days, and I was active duty lieutenant colonel when I went through my master's program. So I can certainly understand. Well, no, I just retired on the master's program for most of it, but still I get it. Okay, and that's with a family and a kid in the house. So anyway, got some ideas for you, got some techniques for you, but at the least, let's make sure we communicate. All right. For week 2, your grades are in. I have to tell you that a big increase in quality of writing from week 1, marked increase. I can see it. Everybody did a good job, mostly on your discussion forum. Remember your timelines. Okay. Again, don't try to sneak something through. You're only hurting yourself on it. Get your post in on Wednesday, and then make your comments on 2 other student posts by Friday. That's the idea, okay? And the whole idea is to get in that rhythm, okay? And so that you can be checking and getting an idea and help reinforce some of what's coming out of the lesson plan, okay? In this regard, you're really kind of teaching yourselves. So as you make your posts, make them on point. Cut to the chase and help each other out. Some of you have some remarkable insights came out in your self-insight exercises. I like how you approach your scholarly pursuits and offer to you that heck, you could be teaching this course. That it's that good. So give the other students the benefit of your knowledge. For the most part, self-insight exercises are really great themselves because we're talking about you. So in large measure, there is no wrong or right answer. That said, there are certain things I'm looking for. Partly is, remember, all these are going to build up And you're going to use these self-insight exercises to lay out your final paper, okay? So I'm going to be seeing these again, or very similar verbiage, all right? The second thing to understand on this is effective communication. This is to continue to improve your ability to get your point across in written form. So take advantage of that. Make sure you're looking at the requirements, okay? I'm getting different font types. I'm getting different styles. I'm getting, you know, a variety of means of displaying the information. And it's pretty clear. I want you to try to at least generally follow APA guidelines. All right, these should be a couple paragraphs, paragraph per chapter, then run through it. All right, it shouldn't be that difficult. And for the most part, it's not a problem, but it's attention to detail. And again, as a leadership class, this is acknowledging how you're able to follow instructions, but also in preparation for giving instructions. When you tell people, hey, these are the things that I'm after, you're going to have to be able to work through getting them to that point. The other thing is that on some of these self-insights, you're going to find yourself where you're trying to make sense out of the scoring, okay? And that's really kind of the whole benefit of it, you know, is for you to grapple with what the score is, what does it mean, why am I getting that, and what are some of the impacts, okay? So for this last week, one of your exercises, chapter 3, talked about substitutes for leadership, but really was getting after the aspect of Brumyago model when we're talking about, are we focusing on task behavior, we're focusing on relationships or personal aspects of leadership. And so we find ourselves on kind of a continuum, and the exercise is trying to identify those who are at either extreme. Okay, you focus more heavily on task, or you're focused more heavily on relationships. And the point here is that within a contingency model framework and Fiedler's model, and just from a practical standpoint, we want to try to be balanced in the middle. Okay, we can't just focus solely on task and then just wear our people out. There has to be some consideration. On the other hand, we can't just be worried about people's feelings and not make our product the best we can. If we're not turning a profit, if we're not making mission, then we're not doing anybody good. We're not going to be in business for long. So we tend to try to balance it, okay? And then we look at things where if you're trying to pick a partner or a vice president or an XO or somebody who is going to be your team, and you know you tend to really focus on task-oriented behavior, then it might be a consideration that you're looking to hire on somebody who's more relationship-based to be a balance to you. All right, these are some of those considerations that we're after. And so as you're going through the self-insight exercises, I want you to try to understand the principle behind them and what they're trying to get across, and then be able to apply that. And that's where the majority of your points lie, okay? The summation of the exercise should be the smallest part of your paragraph. Okay, you know what the results are. And yes, I want a summation of it. Don't give me all the gritty details, okay? That's showing your work, and I don't need to know that. All right? But what I'm really after is the answer in this measure to the so what, okay? So what? You got the score. What does that mean to you? Tell me what you've learned out of it. And this kind of points to the course overall, where we're talking about a framework that's different from what you are used to. Okay, there's a difference between pedagogy which is child learning, and androgy, which is adult learning. Okay, in child learning, you have no experience and you're brand new on this earth. Excuse me. And so what a lot of childhood learning is centered on, either Bloom's taxonomy or however you want to look at it, is a lot of rote memorization. I want you to learn and memorize multiplication tables, learn to memorize rules for grammar and pronunciation, learn and memorize significant dates. These are all things that we're getting you to learn as a youngster that builds a foundation so that when you start to become an adult, you now can apply your experiences, okay? Adult learning flips that on its head. You've gotten a lifetime of experiences. So what we're trying to do here, as you go through the course textbook, like you see on your screen, isn't so much memorize this stuff as it is make sure you understand how it works. Okay, that's really what I'm after. That's one of the reasons why you don't have me sitting here telling you, I want you to memorize this stuff. Okay, or give me the 7 steps or the 8, impacts. Okay, what I'm after is understanding how it works. This came out in your quiz, where in chapter 3 or 4 we have we talk about locus of control. Okay, locus of control is that aspect of what you feel guides your life, your experiences, your fate. I'm pretty sure that's chapter 4. Somebody can help me out if I don't have that right. No, I've got it here. Okay, so if you have your textbooks with you while you're watching this, page 107. Okay. And yes, that's my own highlighting. Yes, I read your textbook. This is the third edition that we've gone through since I've been teaching. So it's always a pain for your instructor when there's a new edition, I can assure you. Okay, so locus of control. All right. Actions that affect what happens to a person. Okay. And so when you hear or see locus of control, the critical element of this is, are we talking internal or external? If my locus of control is more internal, then I believe I'm a master of my own fate. I control my destiny. My internal locus of control means that I define and I'm self-motivated. I'm in better control of my behavior. I can participate more in things, political activities in life. I take more risks, okay? Conversely, external locus of control, those high are people that tend to say, well, it was God's will. In Arabic, that's inshallah. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. High external means it's really something else that determines my fate. So it's really not up to me. All right. The so what in that is this becomes a leadership aspect for you. And as you read on your chapter pages 107, to 108 or 109, and as you went through Leader's Self-Insight 4.2, if you did it, is finding out where you are, but it's also critical to find out where somebody else is. So as an example, in your quiz, if we were talking about high internal locus of control, then don't put me in a structured work environment where you're telling me how to do everything. I can do it, okay? I believe I can do it, all right? So if you put me in that type of situation, I'm not going to be happy. In fact, I'm going to think I'm being micromanaged. And some of you, I think, have been put in those positions. Okay? Compare and contrast that to somebody who is very high external, then you're probably not going to want to put them out where they've got to fend for themselves and don't have a support network around them. Okay? You wouldn't put them out on what we would call in the Marine Corps independent duty. So this is that double-edged aspect that we're trying to get at in these self-insight exercises is figure out how that impacts you and how you relate, and then also take a look at how you can use this or how it might apply within the framework of your leadership of others, okay? Now, I get it, it's tough, okay? There's some of you that aren't in an organization that you really demonstrate or can demonstrate leadership, although I think you can demonstrate leadership in any circumstance. And in fact, your chapter earlier in your book talked about that as subordinate leadership, right? The elements that make a successful leader are those that also make a successful follower. With that said, we'll talk some more about it in some later chapters where the text talks about managing up, okay? Leading up, I think, would be more congruent to how we approach it. What I'm getting at, though, is that you're looking to get to know you, at the same time try to figure out how you can apply this in a leadership experience, okay? And that's it in a nutshell. That's really what this course is. Can you go through there and memorize all this stuff? I'm sure you can. Can you read this thing cover to cover in less than a few days? I'm sure you can. Is there anything in here that you can't understand? No, there's not. It's very basic stuff. And half of it you look at, you go, well, of course, that makes sense, all right? It's common sense, right? But what I really would like to see you concentrate on is reading into this text and studying it, okay? Notate it, highlight it, pull it apart, understand how the dynamic works, okay? And I know you've seen a lot of this for the first time, and it's a lot of information. I'll get you that. That said, if you learn how it applies and what the balance counterbalance is, if you look at the X and Y axis, right, of the graph and know what they're plotting out, then you're going to have a much better chance of retaining it and understanding the material. The critical piece is you understand the concepts, okay? And so when somebody says contingency theory, not so much interested in how well you can regurgitate the exact definition using all the appropriate words, as much as it is recognizing, hey, that's situational based leadership, where we take into account the environment, the others, the subordinates, my own styles, and try to apply that which will give us the best outcome, okay? All right, I hope this makes sense. I hope this helps. All right, so let's take a look at a couple things here. Let's see if we can't go into, all right, so I'm using my screen here. Sorry. On the left, just one of the funniest graphics I think I'd ever seen. Okay, strong leaders don't put others down. They lift them up with our favorite bad guy there. Okay, and then differences between bosses and leaders. These are just some current events, some fun graphics that I share with my seated class, and we tend to talk about them a little bit more and let people see it on the breaks. Okay. Next, all right, so I talked about written assignments again. Generally doing pretty good. Now remember, on your written assignments, let me go back to Moodle here real fast, excuse me. I know I'm jumping around and I apologize on that. But as we go through, and I'm having this with my other class more than this one, But as you go through this, say for example, self-reflective summary report. Okay, we view all the submissions. You're going to find that, okay, over here, your Moodle screen shifts to the right, okay? And you will see final grade, feedback, comments, okay? And I'll usually say something in here. And then I'm going to attach a PDF file, all right? And so when you go through this and you say, well, why did I get that particular grade? Well, take a look at the initial feedback comments, because it might be something in the sense of you were late or you missed something. And then go into the feedback file, the PDF. And just clicking on that should open it up. You probably get a bar at the bottom, okay? Open. All right. And I run through a lot of this, okay? Now, once you've done that, and if we're still having an issue, try to come to grips with what I did or why, then most certainly let me know, all right? Okay, enough of that. I'm gonna go back to, the reason I share that with you is just because of my next point here I'm going to make. Sorry, I couldn't find my cursor. Okay, we're talking about homophones. Okay, again, homophones are a variety of words that are spelled differently and mean different meanings. Okay, but they sound the same. Okay, deer, D-E-A-R, versus deer, D-E-E-R. Right, R-I-G-H-T, versus right, W-R-I-T-E. Okay, cursive English, I guess. The bottom line is that your spell check isn't going to catch this, okay, because you've spelled the word right, you just misused it. And so you need to go back and proofread. Okay, and here's why. Here's a couple that I've gotten just this past week. Okay, the one on the top where it talks about the final exercise, and the idea was to write assess, okay, and instead this is what the person wrote, and you can see it on the screen. Okay, all right, we're not trying to assess something else. Anyway, second one, and these are cause for chuckles. I gotta tell you, I have a sense of humor like the next person. I'll chuckle at it. Like the one on the bottom here, too many times I have witnessed a good listener get taken for granted. Granted, oh, okay, well, it's a little different than granted, all right? But after it becomes that one and another and another and another and another, where's your instructor down? I'll just tell you that, okay? And sense of humor goes out the window, okay? Anyway, let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk the quiz. Okay, so a little bit wider spread than we had last week. Last week we had a number that did not take it. This week that number was cut at about half. Good. Still have a few of you not taking it. Hey, you know, and you're not letting me know, so we'll have to figure that out at some point. For those that are taking it, this one caught everybody a little bit short. We had a particular issue with question number 4, and I'll cover that here in just a bit. And because it was question number 4 that you had an issue with, I think that explains why a number of you also missed question number 8, because depending on how you answered question number 4, if you got it wrong, chances are you probably got question 8 wrong, okay? Because you would have tried to link the two, and you didn't quite catch what the problem was, all right? As I said at the start of the class, if more than half of you missed a particular question, I will take a hard look at it. If 3/4 of the class misses it, I'll definitely throw the question out. In this case, still have a majority getting A's and B's, and even though a lot of people missed it, that isn't half the class. That's less than half. So I think, yes, I am counting the did not takes. But within that, even if it were, we're still talking less than half the class, because you've got 10 did not miss that question. Okay, so what was that evil question that we had? Okay, well, question number 4 says people with a high internal locus of control typically prefer to have structured, directed work situations. Okay, again, locus of control. Remember, I told you, whenever you see that term, locus of control, you really got to distill it down. Are we talking internal or external? And then where we go from there. In this case, the sentence reads, people with a high internal locus of control typically prefer to be structured and directed in work situations. Well, we already talked about that's false. Okay? If I am the master of my own fate, if I believe in my own abilities, then you sitting on top of me telling me how to do my job isn't going to be something I prefer. Now, you'll notice that these questions come straight out of your text. That said, in your text on page 108, the sentence reads, people with a high external locus of control typically prefer. Well, yes, if it was high external locus of control, then yeah, you would prefer to have a directed, structured work situation. Okay, so I suspect a number of you rushed through that. Now, some of you, I want to say, did I put it in my notes? I guess I didn't. Okay. So as I looked at the stats for the quiz, some of you took all the 30 minutes. Okay, so that was good. Most of you did. Most of you are doing it in about half that time. One person did it in 4 minutes and 21 seconds. All right, so I'm going to guess that some of you rushed through it. Okay, I'm not trying to trick you on it, but part of it is again understanding how things work. That's pretty clear. So I'm going to let that question stand, and we'll just chalk it up to what it was. All right, so that was question number 4. What did I say? Question number 8, kind of the follow-on, is over here. Okay, upper right-hand corner. People with an internal locus of control believe that luck is the key to success. No, that's external. Feel they have little control over events. No, that's external. Place primary responsibility on outside forces. No, again, that's external. Believe they are masters of their own fate. Well, again, page 107 said exactly that. All right, so I think when you put the two together, that made sense, and you try to work it. But again, one was answered wrong. I think that bled over. Okay, talked about the contingency approach. Again, very important, understanding the relationship between styles and effectiveness in specific instructions. Making sure you understand the path goal theory of leadership. Most of you did well on question 3. If you're constantly trying to please everyone, you're going to make some poor decisions. That's true. The individual differences in us and attitudes, personality views, we often see the same thing different ways. That is very true. This is a critical piece, making sure you understand that the reason we're building all these tools for you is because we acknowledge this piece of the art and science of leadership, okay? We may all have good training to see something within the framework of the science of leadership, but in the art realm, we may apply it differently, okay? We may see the answer as being different or how we'll approach it, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Again, if it was the same answer in every situation, you wouldn't be in this class. All we do is, laminate a card full of maxims and proverbs and send you on your way, okay? All right, situational theory of leadership talks about delegating, selling, telling, engaging different leadership styles. So having a good feel for that is good. Again, the Vroom-Yago model. Obviously, some common sense. If I've got a bunch of subordinates that have a high level expertise, say for example, I have a class of students that know how to approach a syllabus and how to prepare themselves and how to do their own homework, then I can delegate more responsibility, right? And so you don't need me hovering over you. You don't have me come in and check, making sure you're reading, doing your homework, etc. Okay? All right, number 9, what accounts for tremendous variation among people? Well, it's values, okay? So make sure you understand this is a critical piece of the text, and I love this part, which is out of chapter 4. Make sure you understand the difference between instrumental and end values. This is really good stuff, okay? End values. I want you all to have $1 million, okay? That's a great end value for everybody, isn't it? Okay, instrumental values, though, I prefer you all to get your $1 million by stealing the local bank. Now we got a problem. Okay, that's an absurd position, but I've used an absurdity to point out a truth. Okay. All right, and then theory X and theory Y. All right, remember theory X and theory Y. We're talking about those who, theory X types, don't want a lot of responsibility. They're lazy, they're shiftless. They try to avoid responsibility. They avoid trying to work. Okay, theory Y, people are inherently good, motivated, they seek responsibility, right? Again, it's not the person who's the theory X or theory Y. It's you, the leader, if you view people as theory X, theory Y. Okay, so make sure you understand that little nuance. That it isn't necessarily true that people are that way. It's how true is it that you look at people that certain way, okay? And if you're the type that sees everybody as lazy, shiftless, then that's going to translate into your own biases and how you approach leadership things, okay? Hope that makes some sense. All right. Quiz 2 done. Quiz 3 opens tomorrow. The rest of the chapters, we get into mental models, which is really good stuff here, independent thinking. Get into systems thinking and causality. Then we start getting into emotion. Remember, affective behavior, cognitive behavior. Cognitive ability is your ability to think. Affective is your ability to feel. And then we get into fear, okay? Take a hard look in your reading and understand they'll throw an acronym at you that's spelled fear, F-E-A-R, okay? And that one, it's false evidence appearing real, okay? And there's a question that I gave you and I think you're going to really love it. And then we talk about fear-based motivation and love-based motivation, and then we start getting into ethics. We get into moral leadership, unethical leadership, focusing on from self to others, stewardship, servant leadership. You've heard these terms. Okay, make sure you look hard at it. Make sure you understand the Abilene paradox. Okay, read the case of that. Okay, Abilene, as in yes, Abilene, Texas. Okay, Abilene paradox. People resist voicing their true thoughts in order to please others and avoid conflict. It's a hilarious story that I think we all relate to because we've probably all been there and done that. All right, so let me put us back on our screen. And let me get out of this. Okay, sorry about that. I just screwed that up, I'm sure. All right. So week 3, chapters 5 and 6. Tomorrow, yeah, here's chapter 6. We are going into fear. Hey, make sure on this is an example from your life where anxiety had prevented someone from doing what they needed to do. Okay, so it does have to be you personally. It can be a neighbor, a friend, a sibling, you name it. But take a hard look at that and then be able to articulate how understanding the difference between fear and false evidence appearing real might have made you a better leader in the example you provided. Okay. Again, this is a leadership-based course. And then we'll see where we go. And I'll give you an example from my own past in my response to it. Okay. All right, self-insights 5.3, 6.1. Same thing. Let's get after it. And quiz opens up tomorrow at noon, right? Okay. Well, listen, folks, thanks for hanging in there. And I hope you all have a great night. And I'm going to go ahead and stop this here. Well, let me check my... All right. Yeah, nothing on email. Okay. All right. Have a good night.